Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I'm a divorce valuation expert and mediator in St. Louis, Missouri. Today, we'll discuss why valuation expert opinions differ and the value of a rebuttal expert with Matt Stelzman, an expert in forensic, litigation, and valuation work in Chattanooga, Tennessee, who also serves clients in Atlanta and around the country. So if we start talking about valuation services for litigation purposes, we then now typically have two experts that are hired. So each party will hire an expert. But now we have that they come to either deposition or something like that with vastly different conclusions. Like it could be millions of dollars apart. So how do we start to reconcile, or if we can start to expand on some of the reasons why this might happen and how attorneys might be able to start to look at what are the kind of normal areas that experts start to have a difference of opinion?
Yeah. So I do a lot of CLE and CPE teaching on this exact topic. Been going around the country doing these presentations pretty frequently. So what I've found is that there are four real main areas that can cause a valuation expert to differ from the opposing side. So I want to go over those four and get a little bit more detail into each one of them. But first, I think we need to understand that as appraisers, essentially what we're doing is we're offering estimates of value. We're estimating what the value of the business is based upon the factors that we put in. So a lot of our value is based upon, it's based upon some hard facts, but at the same time, it's based upon the research that we do as professionals. So we've got to ensure that when we go through and do that research, we're finding the answers to all the questions that we have. That's first and foremost. So that, in general, leads into these more specific topics about why our opinion differs in these four areas. So the first thing I want to do is I want to define how you come up with value. And it's a very simplistic formula. I mean, essentially all you're doing is you're taking some form of earnings or cash flow and you're multiplying it by multiple. And how you derive those is far more complicated, but overall that's what you're doing. You're coming up with a total value for the company, and then we apply what we refer to in the business as discounts that are applicable depending upon what the ownership interest is that you're valuing. So let's talk first about cash flows. Now, this is the first area where the attorney or the opposing expert is going to want to dive into the opposing report and kind of see what assumptions that they made. Were they looking at historic cash flows, or were they looking at projected cash flows? And of course, as you know, businesses are based upon the present value of future cash flows. But you can use historic cash flows if you think that the future is going to look similar to the past. Another way to do it is also to have the business owner forecast out what they think those future cash flows are going to be based upon operations. A lot of times that will happen if you're looking at a business that plans on changing something significantly. You'll have to forecast out and say, okay, well, what does the company look like going forward? So that's the first area that you're going to want to look at. And what you typically find is an expert will come in, and it typically happens with historic cash flows. They're going to look at what happened over the, say, last 5 years. They're going to apply adjustments to that. Now, whether that's, adjustments for controlling purposes, you have an owner who is paying himself, $1 million, whereas the going rate for his role is, $200,000. That makes the bottom line look smaller. You would adjust those cash flows back in. Other various adjustments, we can go on and on about what those should be. But what you're looking at is what adjustments were made to those cash flows in order for them to come up with their cash flow base or their earnings base that they're going to multiply or apply the multiple to. So that's what we're talking about with the cash flows. It's the adjustments that are made and the growth rates that's considered in those cash flows.
And note too, expert typically looks at the adjustments the same, which kind of creates this first, I mean, if you have a cash flow multiplied by risk or divided by risk, however you want to look at it, then, and two experts are looking at the starting point different, you off the gate have a difference of an opinion that, like it's going to be the fork in the road and just continues to get wider, right?
Correct. If you take the difference in the cash flow and then you take the difference in the multiple, which we'll get to here in a second, and there's difference between both of them, that's just going to be compounded when you come to the ending or the resulting value between the two experts. So yeah, small amounts and small tweaks in valuation can make huge changes in valuation.